Good morning on a Friday morning in New York City. That's where we're based. This is Secrets of the Sire, coming to you from talkingalternative.com. Got a great show today. Got an amazing guest going to talk about shared universes. But first, we're going to do a little house cleaning like we normally do. Secrets of the Sire, brought to you by audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/secrets of the Sire, S-I-R-E. With over 180,000 titles to choose from your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player, audible.com is the solution for you. Got to keep us, got to keep our coffers going, so we keep the show going. So if you want to become a sponsor, go to my webpage, secretsofthesire.com. Click on the Become a Sponsor link. We've got some great options there as well. Some more shameless plugging. We've got a Secrets of the Sire Facebook page. So go to Secrets of the Sire on Facebook. Just search Secrets of the Sire, or go to facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. And you'll be able to like us on Facebook. We're on Twitter, Periscope, and YouNow. That's under my name. I'm your host, Michael Dolce, and my handle is Michael_Dolce. My Instagram is mdolce64. And last, and certainly not least, next week we have an amazing two-part crossover special in honor of Batman, Superman. We're going to be crossing over with the boys from BadCoyoteFunky.com. We actually had them on a few weeks ago as well, too. Sergio, Greg, and the whole bunch. We're going to be doing a Dark Knight Returns book club review, talking about the seminal work from Frank Miller in 1986 and how it ties into the Superman-Batman movie. And that'll be on the 24th. You can go to badcoyotefunky.com. Actually, you can also go to twitch.tv/badcoyotefunky and check it out there. And then you can come right back the very next day on talkingalternative.com. And we're going to talk Superman and Batman, but we're going to talk the dreaded movie trailer sickness that is going on, where they essentially gave us the entire movie. Now, to be fair, we're still all going to go see it, but I would have loved to have had some of the nuggets from the trailers kept as secrets. Kind of do the J.J. Abrams thing rather than, just blow your load all at once on the trailer. I don't need to see everything, and that's what we're going to discuss when we're there. So I want to welcome Jeff Gomez to the studio as well. You can say hello, Jeff.
Hey there, guys.
Jeff and I are going to be talking about shared universes. So if you go to the blog, I have a weekly blog on secretsofthesire.com. So it'd be /blog. Very creative handle there as well, too. And on that blog, I kind of talked about our March Madness bracket. We're doing a March Madness bracket, which, speaking of the brackets, my bracket's not busted, but it took a hit yesterday. My boys from Purdue that I had going into the Sweet 16 getting bounced after having a 13-point lead. That's the beauty and fun of the March Madness basketball brackets. But in our case, we're doing a March Madness franchise Final Four. And last week we had the Batman bracket. I'll be posting an up-to-date visual on the site later this week. But the Batman bracket, we had The Dark Knight from 2008 was the clear fan choice for best Batman film franchise. It'll go up against the best Superman franchise, which we'll be talking about next week, and we'll be voting on all week long. But today, we're going to be talking about the Spider-Man universe, and it's amazing the timing of everything. Spider-Man just appeared in the Civil War trailer, and if you haven't seen it yet, well, okay, I can understand if you haven't, because for Star Wars, I saw no trailers. I made sure I went in deaf, dumb, and blind to Star Wars because I wanted to experience the whole thing. But for the Marvel movies, this is kind of cool to see the trailers and kind of see all this stuff. And, there's some comments you can make about Spider-Man. His voice was a little young sounding because he's going to be young. It's just a stark difference from his previous incarnations. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield I think was 28 playing a 17-year-old. He's very skinny though, so he can pull that off. So there's nothing wrong with that. And what we basically have now is the possibility of a Spider-Man movie being exactly what I think we all want, with the exception of the armbands, because I don't know what was going on with the armbands on his costume. I don't know why. I like the old school visors on his eyes, like the eyelids. That was like kind of like a Steve Ditko, John Romita Sr. throwback instead of the Todd McFarlane Amazing Spider-Man franchise, where they kind of use the Todd McFarlane big eyes, which I actually also like. But I like the retro look in the trailer. But we're seeing something that, now that Spider-Man is in the Marvel Universe, we might really be able to get a true Spider-Man movie. My faults with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was he wasn't funny enough when he was Spider-Man, and you kind of want that, right? That was my take on that. Andrew Garfield was great as Spider-Man, but his Peter Parker was really fidgety and annoying. Emma Stone was really great in that movie, but at the same time, that Peter. It's funny. On the one end, I think the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans were just dead on when it came to the Peter Parker dynamic and how he's kind of a loser, but as Spider-Man he's not. But it didn't go all the way as Spider-Man, and then vice versa. You had Andrew Garfield, where I thought the visuals as Spider-Man were just absolutely incredible, but the Peter Parker storylines kind of lagged a little bit. So Jeff, I want to welcome you aboard. What did you think of the Civil War trailer? Actually, we'll give you some history into what Jeff can do and what he does before we even ask him about his opinion. So Jeff works for a company. He founded a company called Starlight Runner Entertainment. They're based in Manhattan as well. He is a transmedia guru. That's the title I like to give you. And talk to us about what transmedia is, just in general, for people that don't kind of understand, and give us some of the awesome projects you've worked on. He's worked on Men in Black. He's worked on Avatar. He's worked on the Amazing Spider-Man movies as well. Talk to us about all this cool stuff that you've done.
Sure. Mike, thanks so much for having me on the show. I've been working in the entertainment business for a long, long time, and I have what pretty much can be concluded as the best job in the universe. Mm-hmm. I get to play in everyone's sandboxes, mm-hmm. and it's just amazing. The notion for me of transmedia storytelling comes from the fact that when I was very young, this is pre anything digital, mm-hmm. I lived here in New York City, and it was a very dark and gritty place back then, and I sought escape in fantasy and science fiction and superheroes, and what I wished for, what I desired, was a fantasy universe that was so real that I could kind of like be there instead of in the projects on the Lower East Side.
Sure.
So the problem would crop up where I would go to the Lois Delancey and watch Planet of the Apes, and mm-hmm. then Escape from the Planet of the Apes and Conquest, all these wonderful science fiction movies, and I'd love them and I want to see them over and over again. And then there would be a comic book of Planet of the Apes from Marvel, yep. or a TV series on CBS, or an animated cartoon of Planet of the Apes. But there was a dinosaur in the animated cartoon, or they would be flying hang gliders and things like that in Planet of the Apes, like stuff that didn't make any sense. Like it didn't all kind of fit together, mm-hmm. and I didn't understand that back then. I would just try and make it fit, in my imagination.
Yeah.
But what was really going on is that the studio that owned the franchise, Planet of the Apes, didn't really care what you did with it when you paid them a licensing fee and created the content. So there was no one who was kind of the visionary to hold it all together and make it make sense. They would just kind of milk it until it was dead. Mm-hmm. And that was frustrating because, in a way, fans were not respected,
Right.
So I grew up wishing that there there would be story worlds where I was respected. And where I found that, by the way, was in Marvel and DC comic books, where the crossovers and the fact that these were kind of shared universes among the editors and writers of these comic books actually cared enough to create little caption boxes that told me what issue this crossed into.
I love that, by the way, and that's something that's kind of gone away in modern comics a lot, and I dislike that. I mean, for anybody who is unaware, like the current state of Marvel and DC, they've been rebooted numbers of times now to try to keep up with the films, which we can talk about a little bit later. But what I used to love was if I picked up Batman 643 and he's talking to Alfred and they say, well, remember what happened when we did it the last time? It would say star, and then you read that. And I remember being in 5th grade not knowing what it was at first, and then when I figured it out, I said, oh, this happened before. I got to go out and go pick up issue 600 because they're referencing something I haven't read yet. I need to go find it, and that's what those kind of things would actually fuel the back issue market.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Continue.
So
I agree.
I love that, and unfortunately, in the 70s and even in the 80s in the United States, all entertainment had something called like the reset button. That's what I called it. You watched an episode, and then next week it was as if everybody hit the reset button.
Right.
Nobody remembered what happened.
You're right.
People would make the same mistakes all over again, right? And it was kind of a drag. It felt immature, especially after I got into the Japanese anime and the Japanese science fiction, where there was a kind of serial format where characters did remember what happened, where issues were taken seriously, and it took several episodes to solve some sort of crisis.
It's funny you mentioned the anime. Sam has lived many lives. Sam, our engineer, and in his previous life, he was Media Blasters, right? In the anime world.
Oh,
so
I
Jeff is
bought
going
every single one of them. I love my Media Blasters.
So there's a common bond there. Do you know what's actually funny? You've evoked all these images in my head too, of not just comic book collecting when I was younger, but also Seinfeld was one of the first TV shows to actually reference the fact that they had previous episodes too. They would have recurring characters, and they would say, oh, you remember what happened last time this happened? And I remember thinking, I was maybe in junior high when Seinfeld was really hitting his prime. I remember thinking, boy, I've never seen anything like this before. And fast forward now to, 25 years later, it's now a common theme.
Sure.
So,
and remember, Seinfeld loved Superman. He was a comic book fan.
That's right. See, it all ties together. So Jeff has actually his company Starlight Runner, as I kind of briefly mentioned too, has worked in the story universe world for the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, the Men in Black franchise. It was a very pivotal role in the Men in Black 3 franchise and the Avatar franchise as well. And he's done they've done work silently behind the scenes that you wouldn't even know about it. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Men in Black 3, but we're going to also steer back to that Amazing Spider-Man franchise and the coolness that we kind of have in front of us now that Spider-Man is now part of the Marvel Universe when we return.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.